Good morning, students. Today we will learn the postpartum hemorrhage. So, what is the postpartum hemorrhage? So, what is the postpartum hemorrhage? So, it is the postpartum hemorrhage, which is the blood loss more than 500 ml or more during vaginal delivery, 1000 ml or more during cesarean section, or 1500 or more during cesarean hysterectomy in the quantitative definition, or any blood loss significant enough to cause hemodynamic instability is called PPH. Incidence is about 4 to 6% of all deliveries, and it is the most common 35% most common cause for the maternal deaths. So, depending upon the amount of the blood loss, it is divided into three categories. It can be minor loss, major or massive. Minor is between the 500 to 1000 ml. If it is more than 1000 ml, then it is major loss, and if it is more than 2000 according to RCOG or more than 1500 is massive blood loss. Types according to the time when it occurs. Primary, if hemorrhage occur within 24 hours following delivery. If it occurs within 24 following delivery, in most of the cases occur within 2 hours, it is known as primary PPH. It is again divided into two types, third stage hemorrhage and true postpartum hemorrhage. Third stage hemorrhage is bleeding occurs before expulsion of placenta. True postpartum hemorrhage, bleeding occurs after the expulsion of the placenta, seen in majority of the cases. Secondary, if occurs after 24 hours of this delivery but within the puerperium, is known as secondary PPH, also known as delayed or late puerperal hemorrhage. So, divided into two categories, primary and secondary. Primary is divided into third stage bleeding or true postpartum hemorrhage. Causes, it is mostly 4 T's. Most common is the tone, uterine atonicity is the most common cause, tissue, retained placenta, traumatic delivery, and thrombin, that is coagulation disorder. So 4T is responsible for the PPH. Most common is the atonic, that I told you, it is atonic PPH or tone of uterus is responsible for the PPH. So commonest, it is around 80%, seen in the grand multipara. It is after 5th gravida. More common after 5th gravida, seen in the over distension of the uterus as in the twin pregnancy, polyhydramnios or big baby, because of the increased surface area of the placenta and because of the increased surface area of the uterus also. Malnutrition and anemia is another cause. If there is a history of APS, it is more common. Prolonged labor, more than 12 hours, it causes this PPH. If depth of anesthesia is more, then causes atonicity. Long or prolonged use of oxytocin causes the receptor is blocked already, so it will not work after the delivery. So thus prolonged use of oxytocin. Malformation of uterus, if it is implanted over the septum, then it causes this type of PPH, or it may cause in fact morbid adhesion of the placenta. Fibroid, if there is a mismanaged third stage of the labor, mainly because of too rapid delivery of the baby, premature attempt to deliver the placenta before it is separated, needling or fiddling of the uterus, pulling the cord, manual separation of placenta, all this causes the increased blood loss during the delivery. Placenta, if it is already morbidly adhered, then definitely it causes the PPH. Precipitate labor and other causes, like if your patient is obese, if age is more than 40 years, if she is on some drug like tocolytic drugs, Ritrodin, Maxelf and Nifedipine. Another cause is traumatic. It accounts for 20% of the cases seen. Trauma to the genital tract, usually seen after the instrumental delivery or cesarean section. Trauma may be involved in the cervix, vagina, perineum, anywhere. Other causes, first cause is atonic uterus, second is the trauma, third is the if there is a retained tissue, that is bits of the placenta, blood clots, PPH due to imperfect uterine retraction. It may be combination of atonic and traumatic, and last one is but less common is coagulation disorder. So these are the causes of PPH. Can we prevent it? Yes. So in antenatal period, you have to identify the risk factors. After identification, you should plan the delivery in the hospital, and even if required, you can plan the delivery in the tertiary center also. Improvement of health status of women to keep the hemoglobin level normal, so that patient can withstand some amount of blood loss. Blood grouping should be done beforehand. Placental localization should be done beforehand. If patient is case of morbid adherent placenta, you should go for multidisciplinary approach. So this is the antenatal precautions what you can do during antenatal period. During intranatal period, you should follow the AMTLS. What is AMTLS? It is active management of third stage of labor. It reduces the risk of PPH by 60%. You should give oxytocin injection 10 unit IM within 1 minute of delivery is recommended by RCOG. It is a choice of uterotonic drug for the prevention of the PPH. So 10 unit IM is recommended. Even you can use IV also. Where oxytocin is not available, you can use different uterotonics like methergin, that is ergometrin, or you can use combination also oxytocin plus methergin, or you can use prostaglandin PGE1, that is misoprostol 600 microgram is recommended for prevention. I am telling about the prevention. So use AMTLS, use oxytocin in preference. If it is not available, use either methergin or combination of oxytocin plus methergin, or oral misoprostol 600 microgram. If skilled birth attendants are available, you should go for controlled cord traction is recommended. But if skilled birth attendants are not available, CCT is not recommended. Late cord clamping is advised, that is so that baby can receive more blood, around 80 to 100 ml. So late cord clamping is advised. Sustained uterine massage is not recommended for prevention. It is for prevention. Massage is not recommended for prevention, but only abdominal uterine tone assessment is recommended. So you have to just palpate the uterine tone, or you can just assess the uterine tone whether it is contracted or not. It is recommended, but massage is not recommended if CE has already received this oxytocin. In cesarean section, oxytocin is recommended, IV or IM. Control cord traction is recommended. Exploration of uterovaginal canal. If CE has landed up in difficult labor or instrumental delivery, observation for 2 hours is advised, so that you can assess whether the blood loss is there or not. Examination of placenta for its completeness should be done. So what is AMTLS? AMTLS includes, first is oxytocin with IM, 10 unit IM within 1 minute of solidal delivery first. Second, control cord traction. Third, delayed cord clamping. And fourth one is uterine tone assessment. So this is the 4 part of AMTLS: oxytocin, control cord traction, delayed cord clamping and uterine tone assessment, not massage. When we talk of this management, if you have done prevention but anyhow patient landed up in the PPH, so what are the principles for the management of the PPH? So first, assessment and communication, resuscitation, monitoring of the patient, identification of the cause and the arrest of bleeding, and simultaneously documentation. All must be done simultaneously. PPH is an emergency which kills fast. So 1 hour of golden period should not be lost. You should do very fast, so that patient may not land up in the drastic condition, or so that you could not lose your patient. So 1 hour of golden period is important. So you have to arrest the bleeding, or you have to resuscitate your patient within this 1 hour. So for that we have to be ready and prepared. You should have the infrastructure preparedness, drugs and injections and IV fluids available. Emergency trolleys should be ready. Staff and teamwork should be there, and if required, referral and transport is required. So this is the emergency trolley. You can see in the emergency trolley, in your labor room there should be emergency protocol should be written on the and hanging on the wall, so that everyone can see this protocol and they can follow it. Endotracheal tube and laryngoscope if required. Some essential drugs should be available, and crystalloid and the Hemaxil should be available. So what should be the algorithm? Algorithm is a hemostasis for the atonic PPS, because it's the very fast and you can lose within an hour. So there is algorithm. First is H for help, ask for help. A is the assess vital and blood loss and resuscitate it. E for etiology, establish the etiology and give ecbol-X. M for massage the uterus. This is for the treatment of the massage uterus, for the treatment of the PPH. It is not for prevention. So this massage uterus, that can be in the bimanual compression form. O for oxytocin and other pharmacological drugs. S for anti-shock garments. 4 T's are responsible for the etiology. Apply compression suture. If you are performing the surgical method, apply compression sutures. Systemic pelvic devascularization, that is stepwise devascularization in the sequence of uterine, ovarian and the internal iliac. Interventional radiology if available. And last one but not least important is the subtotal and total abdominal hysterectomy if it required. So communication and assessment. For you should start red alert. You should call for the obs-gynae specialist, anesthetist, sister on call, blood bank or hematologist. You should assess simultaneously after this communication. Simultaneously you should assess the blood loss. We have already read in the placenta previa and abruption, but you should read here in detail. Here it is sanitary pad. If it is soiled only, then it is 30 ml. If it is saturated sanitary pad, that is 100 ml. Small swab saturated 60 ml. Incontinence from the pad 250 ml. Saturated large swab, it is 350 ml. If 100 centimeter of distance floor spill, then 1500 ml. If PPS is limited to bed only, 1000 ml. If PPS is spilled over floor from the bed, then it is 2000 ml. One full kidney tray is 500 ml. With the sponge, you can see if it is 18 by 18 inch, then if it is 50% area is soaked, then 25 ml. 75% area is soaked, then 50 ml. Whole seat is saturated, then 75 ml. If it is saturated and dribbling down, then it is 100 ml. So this is the pictorial blood loss assessment. By picture you can assess the blood loss. Another is the clinical assessment. In the clinical assessment, you can assess whether it is 15% loss, 15 to 30% loss, 30 to 40 or more than 40 according to blood pulse rate, which is increasing from 100 to 140 from class 1 to class 4. Blood pressure is decreasing, pulse pressure is also decreasing, respiratory rate is increasing from normal to more than 35. Urine output is decreasing from which is normal more than 30 per hour to negligible, and your patient may become confused and lethargic in the class 4. So by the clinical assessment you can assess the blood loss. Another method is the obstetric shock index. It is early marker for the compromise. Here the heart rate upon systolic blood pressure you can take. In a pregnant patient, normal value is 0.7 to 0.9, but if it is more than 1, that it predicts the adverse clinical outcome. So by these methods you can assess the blood loss. After with communication, blood assessment of the blood, simultaneously you can start the resuscitation of the patient because your patient may be in the shock. So you should follow the ABC protocol, that is airways and breathing and circulation. You should maintain the airways and breathing. ABC is according to BLS, anesthesia. BLS is the basic life support. So ABC is the protocol for any emergency patient. So maintain airways, maintain breathing, evaluate the circulation, keep your patient in the flat position, keep her warm, and indwell the Foley's catheter so that it also helps in the contraction of the uterus and also helps in the monitoring of the urine output. Put 2 large bore cannula, that is lesser the number, more wider the cannula. You can see 14 gauge is more wider than the 22 gauge, so you should use 14 or 16. 14 is the orange, 16 is the gray. Fine. So this is you have to use 2 large bore cannula, 14 either 16. intravenous cannulas. You should take out 20 ml of the blood and send it for grouping and cross-matching, CBC, coagulation profile including fibrinogen, renal function test, liver function test, electrolyte, and you have to monitor her vitals every 15 minutes. Fluid resuscitation. Transfuse blood as soon as possible if clinically required. Until blood is available, you have to transfuse. If it is required, until blood is available, you have to infuse 3.5 liter of the isotonic crystalloid. Initially, 2 liter of isotonic crystalloid is must. After that, you can maintain it with, after 2 liter of the isotonic crystalloid, you can give 1.5 liter of either isotonic crystalloid or colloid of succinylated gelatin, but you should not use hydroxyethyl starch. So infuse 3.5 liter of isotonic crystalloid. Blood transfusion, no firm criteria for initiation of blood. It is depends only on clinical and hematological assessment. Selection of blood depends on again clinical and hematological assessment, but for major obstetric hemorrhage protocols where group specific blood is not available, there should be provision to give the O negative blood also. So for major obstetric hemorrhage, immediately give. If group specific blood is not available, immediately give O negative blood. If hemostasis is not achieved, after 4 units of blood, you have to use FFP in the dose of 12 to 15 ml per kg until hemostasis is achieved, according to 2016 RCOG. If patient already landed up in DIC and her INR is more than 1.5, then you have to use FFP in excess dose of 15 ml per kg of body weight. Cryoprecipitate, platelets and fibrinogen is according to requirement. You should maintain the fibrinogen level more than 2 gram per liter. If it is less, then use cryoprecipitate. If platelet count is less than 75,000, give platelet concentrate. But routine use of recombinant factor 8A is not recommended for the management of major PPH. So we have for treatment purpose, we have done communication, we have assessed the blood loss, we have started our resuscitation with ABC and fluid resuscitation and blood. We have given the blood, we have sent the investigation, and we have maintained her coagulation factors. In most of the cases, in fact in all cases of PPS, Trenexa can be given. So intravenous tranexamic acid is recommended for the management of PPS in the dose of 1 gram over 10 minutes. It can be repeated if bleeding continues after 30 minutes. It should be given early in the PPH. And it can be given in all cases of bleeding. It can be traumatic, it can be atonic, or it can be anything else. Simultaneously with resuscitation, you have to arrest the bleeding cause or arrest the bleeding. So according to causative factor, you have to start the pharmacological, mechanical and surgical methods to arrest your PPH. When uterine atony is perceived to be the cause of bleeding, you should start immediately the mechanical and pharmacological measures. If pharmacological measures or drug measures fails to control the bleeding, you should start surgical interventions. Intrauterine balloon tamponade is the first line surgical intervention. Second line is the conservative surgeries, and last but not less is hysterectomy if required, because resort to hysterectomy sooner rather than later. You should not lose your patient. So if required, immediately go for hysterectomy. If the cause is established, if it is fine, it is atonic PPH, massage the uterus to make it hard, examine the placenta for its completeness, and simultaneously explore the cervix and vagina for any trauma. You should start the medical management with drug. First line is the oxytocin in the dose of 20 to 40 units in 1 liter of crystalloid, and then titrate to sustain uterine contraction after that. Second line is the, if your patient is continue to bleed, you can give methergine 0.2 milligram IM, but it should not be given in the hypertensive disease like preeclampsia, severe anemia, cardiac problems. So methergine should be avoided in these problems. These are some contraindications. You can use carboprost, that is PGF2 alpha, in the dose of 0.25 mg IM. It should be given only IM. It can be repeated within 15 minutes with maximum dose of 2 milligram. That is, you can repeat 8 doses every 15 minutes. Misoprostol you can use in the dose of 800 to 1000 microgram. So these are the drugs which is the which can help in the arrest of bleeding and contract the uterus. Simultaneously, you can use some mechanical method. Bimanual uterine compression is recommended. This is temporary measure. You can use external aortic compression, and even you can use non-pneumatic anti-shock garment when patient is being transferred from primary center to tertiary center. So you can use some mechanical methods like bimanual uterine compression, external aortic compression, and non-pneumatic anti-shock garments. So this is the how you can use the how you can do the bimanual compression. You can see the right hand fist is kept in the anterior fornix, while the left hand is holding the fundus, and you can compress it. So this is the bimanual massage. Another important method, another mechanical method is uterine tamponade. You can use, if nothing is available, you can use the gauze and do the packing of uterus under GA, but it is now obsolete. So in previous years it was done, but it is not used nowadays. Now we are using balloon tamponade. You can use Foley's catheter, Buckley balloon, condom catheter, or Sangstecken Blackmore tube, which is inserted in the uterine cavity, and it is filled with the normal saline in the 200 to 500 ml, and it will compress the uterine surface and help in the by tamponade method. It helps in the arrest or cessation of the bleeding. Here you can see it is Buckley balloon. You can see how the cavity is obstructed by the Buckley balloon, and the bleeding is hampered. When I was in the medical college, with the help of Dr. Nalini Misra ma'am, we have innovated this type of balloon which was very cheap. It is known as CG balloon, and we published in this journal. This is the jugaad method. We have used the plain catheter and used the condom, and one there is a draining port, and another is the another channel is for the inflating the balloon. So this is the CG balloon which we have innovated in the Mekahara Medical College. If your tamponade is still not working, or if your patient is still bleeding after pharmacological method and after the all mechanical method, you should directly go for the surgical approach, which is final method. And for this this two type of methods are there. You can go for conservative surgery or you can go for hysterectomy. For conservative, that is devascularization procedure, you can use compression sutures. It can be B-Lynch suture, core sutures, or many type of compression sutures are there. But for your purpose, B-Lynch and core is enough. You can do stepwise devascularization. First uterine artery, bilateral uterine, then bilateral ovarian, and bilateral internal iliac artery ligation. And if available, you can go for angiographic arterial embolization. Hysterectomy, you can go if still your patient is bleeding. Either you can go for subtotal or total hysterectomy, because you have all things you have to do within 1 hour, golden hour. So this is the B-Lynch or brace suture. Here how we use is, you can see here how we are putting the sutures in the uterus so that it will compress its cavity. This is the co-multiple square suture or compression suture. You can see this is the stepwise devascularization. First you have to ligate bilateral uterine artery. Here is the uterine, here will be the ovarian artery, and somewhere here will be the internal iliac. This is the this is the internal iliac. You have to ligate it after the anterior division. So this is the internal iliac artery. So you have to, this is the stepwise devascularization. You have to ligate the bilateral uterine, bilateral ovarian, and the bilateral internal iliac artery ligation. If available, you can go for uterine artery embolization. Here we can put the catheter from femoral artery and we can inject some gelatin material in the uterine artery, so it will obstruct the uterine artery. So this is the uterine artery embolization. If radiological department is in the radiology department, interventional radiology is available, then you can use this method also. This was the treatment of atonic PPH. If your patient is of traumatic PPH, then repaired the trauma immediately if feasible under GA. If it is not feasible, it is not if it is unrepairable, then even you can go for vaginal packing. If placental tissue is left, then you can go for MRP, manual removal of placenta, under GA. And if your patient is of coagulopathy, then correct it by the FFP. This is how you can do the manual removal of the placenta. Here you have to put your hand in the cone cepheid manner from posterior fornix and second hand in the fundus of the uterus, which will guide it, and with you can find the margin of the placenta, and through the margin you can separate it. So this is the step of manual removal of the placenta. Secondary PPH. So this was the management of the primary PPH. So what we have read is the communication, first one, sorry, it is simultaneous. So communication and assessment, monitoring, resuscitation with fluid and blood, and arrest of the bleeding according to the cause. So this could be the this should be the protocol for the management of the primary PPH. In case of the secondary PPH, what are the etiology? So etiology can be the retained product of conception if it is left behind because of subcensuate lobe, or if it is locally adherent, so retained product of conception. And maybe most common is the infection is most common cause of secondary PPH is infection due to the retained products. Breakdown of uterine wound, chronic subinvolution of uterus, trophoblastic disease, and endometrial cancers are rare. It appears usually in the second and third week postpartum. Initial management similar to PPH, primary PPH, and then you have to go for high vaginal swab for culture, because infection is in most cases infection is there. You should start the antibiotic. It is very difficult to differentiate between the product of conception and blood clots by sonography, especially in the first 2 weeks of postpartum. But if you have found the product of conception within the cavity, you have to go for evacuation after 24 hours of antibiotic. If your patient is stable, if patient is not settling after 24 hours of antibiotic, you have to go for surgical intervention. If your patient is pouring and if it is unstable, you can directly go for hysterectomy. So conclusion, PPH is the leading cause of maternal mortality, but it is preventable. A range of interventions are available for PPH prevention and management, for both prevention and management for situation with and without skill attendant at birth, but need to be implicated at scales. So we may have a long way to go, but we have solutions at hand. Let us take action now. So this is the management of the PPH. So it was covered your hemorrhage part, antepartum hemorrhage, postpartum hemorrhage, and the all previa and abruptio and postpartum hemorrhage. You have to learn very well. It is always asked in your exams. PPS, you should read it very carefully. Okay.